Hello and thanks for tuning into the episode of Formscan on IrishRacing.com ahead of the big Easter festivals at Cork and Fairyhouse. Delighted to be joined by Donn McClean to look over the weekend's racing. Donn, I suppose it's a jam-packed weekend, but I think Easter's always an enjoyable one with plenty of top-class horses around.
Yeah, no, it's great, Emma. Like the national hunt meeting, the Irish national meeting at Fairyhouse, it's great. It's a big field, some really competitive racing. Obviously, the highlights of the Irish Grand National on Easter Monday, but yeah, some good racing throughout the whole weekend.
Yeah, we just got the declarations through today as well for Sunday, and the grade one mares novice there is shaping up to be a very nice looking race as well. So we'll kick off on Saturday anyway, and we'll talk about a couple of races. In the Fairyhouse to start off with. I think the first race we'll have a chat about is the 4:30, which is the novice handicap hurdle. Sorry. So plenty in here with good chances. Shannon Royal tops the weight for Gordon Elliott and Danny Gilligan, taking up a valuable £5. Built by Ballymore here for a quick turnaround after slightly disappointing maybe in the Coral Cup at Cheltenham. Willie again, though, is strongly represented, and Olympic Man seems to be the pick if he's once, and Paul Townend takes the ride on him. I thought he was quite an interesting runner. Maybe jumping, probably won despite of his jumping in Naas last time, but looks like one with a big engine, Don. What's your take on this one?
Yeah, no, I agree with a lot of that, Emma. Yeah, like he does have an engine. Like he won by 15 lengths in the end, despite not jumping well, as you say. And Paul Townend has chosen to ride him. What path? I suppose of what path we're kind of getting to know how good he is. He's probably a wee bit more exposed than Olympic Man, so you can understand why Paul Townend has chosen to ride Olympic Man. Built by Ballymore, like yeah, as you mentioned, like he was sent off as 4-1 favourite for the Coral Cup, which was even a week out. I know he was the kind of the horse that a lot of people were talking about in the Coral Cup. I think the fact that he was trained by Martin Brazel was one of the key points to there. And look, he was disappointed, but he was progressive before that. He won his maiden hurdle well at Limerick over Christmas, and then won well at Punchestown next time on heavy ground. So you just have to put a line through his run in the Coral Cup. Just be interested to see throughout the weekend. I don't know what you think about it, but how horses who ran at Cheltenham, how they're going to perform. It's only 17 days. Like Easter is very early this year, so any horse who ran at Cheltenham, even if they did win, if they didn't finish off their race or didn't look like they had a hard race, it still has to take a lot out of horses going over and back, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure, and especially with the ground, I think being so testing in Fairyhouse. Like, I saw an update this morning. Even though they didn't get a whole pile of rain, I think over the last day or so, it's still heavy ground. I suppose just all the rain they've been getting in the weeks building up to it, and I think this heavy showers kind of forecast kind of throughout the weekend. So that, like, you'd imagine, built by Ballymore, if he's at his best, that ground would suit him. Like we saw him winning in Limerick on very testing ground, but like you said, like with Easter being so soon, you'd have to maybe watch and see the first few who are coming back from Cheltenham.
And look, I mean, you know better than I do with horses. Like it's going to affect different horses differently, isn't it? Like they're gonna, like some of them are going to come out of it okay, and some of them, just might need a wee bit more time. Shannon Royal, like he won. I thought he just scraped home in the end from Somerville Boy the last day at Thurles, but I thought he won with it. He had more in hand in the bear winning margin, and he's a horse who, like, he's second season novice now, so he's got a big weight. But Danny Gilligan taking £5 off, as you mentioned. I think he's a classy horse. I think there's a wee bit more to come from him.
Yeah, he could be a good chance to go down. Of course, Jack Kennedy suspended, I think, for the first day of the Easter festival, so that's why Danny gets the ride on that one, I'd imagine. But there's actually one down the bottom weight I thought was a little bit interesting as well. Native speaker there for Henry Burmed and Rachel Blackmore. Thought he was a good second in a handicap. First time in a handicap, last time in third. Sorry. He has 12 links to make up on Built by Ballymore on Maidle Hurdle form, but to kind of presuming maybe having that question mark about Built by Ballymore, and he's getting plenty of weight off from here as well. I'd say he could have a bit of a squeak in here at this kind of trip. 2 mile 7 would suit him. Might be a little bit of a question mark around the Mullins runner there as well. He's stepping up markedly in trip. And he went over 2 mile 3 last time and kind of making a plenty use of himself and maybe jumping. There's a few question marks about him, so I might take a small chance on native speaker each way there for Henry and Rachel. I think he might have a little bit of a chance there. But we'll go on to the feature race today now with the Rybor handicap hurdle, listed handicap hurdle, and again, plenty here coming back after competing in the Cheltenham Festival, and plenty of them actually disappointed at Cheltenham. So maybe you have a look and see how Built by Ballymore get on. But again, like, it kind of depends on the horse. Like, it might affect different horses differently. But Westport Co up there, top of the weight, is the choice of Paul Townend for Willie Mullins. Pulled up in the county hurdle last time. An interesting one I thought in here, there was Comfort Zone for Joseph O'Brien and JJ Slevin. He's making his first run since Second in a flat handicap at Leopardstown back in September. He was a dual Grade 2 winning a juvenile hurdler. I just thought he was interesting in here against horses who probably, a few of them probably had question marks about him. Now he will have to be ready and the ground might be plenty soft for him, but I just thought he could be interesting on comeback, Don.
Fully agree with you. Yeah, fully agree. No, he's a really interesting horse. And he was a high class juvenile 2 seasons ago. Like he won the finesse hurdle at Cheltenham and the finale hurdle at Chepstow in opposite order. And he was high on the list for Cheltenham that year. So that was last season. He didn't run after he won the finesse hurdle. And as you say, ran a good race, stayed on well at Leopardstown the last day, and handing up over a mile and 5 back in September. And yeah, like he's still only 5. He's a little bit of a forgotten horse, but he was obviously highly regarded. He was a good horse on the flat as well before that. And yeah, coming on here, you think that like he's obviously had his issues, but you think that this race, it looks like a good race for him. I listed handicap hurdle over 2 miles. And it wouldn't be surprising if they'd had it in mind for a little while. JUS7 taking the ride, obviously, for Joseph O'Brien. So, and he's still a fairly lightly raced horse, and he's only 5. So there could be a little bit more to come from him. So yeah, I fully agree. I think he's really interesting in here.
Yeah, for sure. I think he could take a bit big in there. Helvic Dream, of course, another interesting one there for No Mead. One of the ones that didn't go to Cheltenham. He was last seen fourth in a Grade 3, I think, behind Fun. But the ground might be a little bit too soft for him. His Group 1 winner on the flat, probably a bit strange to see him throwing up a handicap hurdle in Fairyhouse, but took him a little bit of time to get used to the hurdling, I suppose, but did get off the mark on heavy ground at Navan. But I'd be in the comfort zone camp there with you as well. But just kind of before we move on to Sunday, so I'm going to give a quick little mention to some of the flat action because there's so much going on over the weekend. But I suppose exciting to see One Look, the Golf Millions winner, making her seasonal reappearance for Paddy Toomey and Billy Lee down in Cork. Faces 4 rivals there. She's likely to be long odds on, so not really a betting prospect. But Don, she's probably an exciting one for this year. I think around 10-1 for the Guineas at the moment.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing her again. I'm absolutely like what she did in the Golf Million, and she wasn't a wild price in that. She got 65,000 at the Orby sale, and yeah, like was just seriously impressed in winning the Golf Million, and came clear of Cherry Blossom, who'd been second in the Lowther Stakes, a Group 2 race I think at York. But yeah, like she was like one of the big talking horses at the end of last season, so it's going to be really interested to see her back now and see how she's wintered and how she does on her first run at 3. And Paddy Toomey, he started off with the strike rate like it was last year and the year before, 50% I think 2 wins from 4 runners so far, so he doesn't waste bullets. So yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how she goes.
Yeah, Paddy Toomey, he's strike rate every year, so I believe. I thought another interesting one he had in there is that in Cork, he has a half-sister to Batash, I think, first run for him in the first race in Cork as well, so that's probably another one to keep an eye out on. But big racing in Maidan as well on the Saturday. Will you get time to watch that a lot, or is there just too much to go on in Ireland? I suppose Augusta Rodan is kind of the highlight there.
Yeah, I know, we'll keep an eye on it all right. Yeah, you'll need eyes all over the place, but we'll look back on it anyway, even if we don't get to see it live or get to pay too much attention to it live. But yeah, look, it's great that August Rodan is in training, isn't it? Like he's a 4-year-old now, like given his breeding by deep-leaving back out of rhododendron, you would have forgiven them if they'd sent him off to stud after his 3-year-old career. All he achieved, a Dual Derby winner, an Irish Champion Stakes winner, a Breeders' Cup Turf winner. But no, it's great that he's back and he's starting off pretty early. Obviously gone out to Dubai for the Shima Classic. And he's favoured for it in front of Liberty Island to finish second behind Equinox in the Japan Cup. Of course, this is Japan Day, isn't it? Dubai World Cup Day. The Japanese, they farm these races, and I think we finally come around to the realization that the Japanese horses are actually quite good. So yeah, and look, it'll be a good. Emily Upjohn is in there as well, so it'll be a good test for August Rodan. But yeah, you'd like to see him going and winning it, and then, moving forward, maybe the Tavis Gold Cup. Aidan O'Brien was saying there last week, and Prince of Wales will stake at Royal Ascot, and then moving on through the season, and he's going to maybe have a go on dirt at some point in the season, all going well. So look, it's going to be good to see him back, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an exciting campaign. Like hearing the way Aidan's talking about it as well, and the travelling they're doing is interesting. Like going to try him on the dirt maybe later on in the year. So yeah, hopefully he gets off to a nice start. Like you said, it's great to see him back in training this year, because we don't get to see that too often with those kind of superstars in the flats. Kind of too tempting to retire them, I suppose, after a good 3-year-old campaign. But we'll go back to the jumps race anyway, back to Fairyhouse for Sunday's card. And the first race we'll have a look at there is the 2:35 a really good declaration in this. The Honeysuckle Mares, Novice Hurdle, won in the past by the likes of Honeysuckle, of course, Annie Power, Jared's Girl, and there's no shortage of real high-class mares in here either. Jade de Grugy, interestingly enough, I think, has been declared by Willie Mullins. Paul Townend takes the ride, but I suppose if you take out the Sheldon one, she would be a lot shorter price, but even then, there's some really high quality mares coming up against her here. Jatara was really good third at the Dublin Racing Festival against the boys. Bioluminescence is a mare I like. Maybe the 2 miles mightn't be up her street completely, but plenty in here. Some real high quality mares. Don, are you in the Jake Dragucci camp, or would you be looking to take her on?
Yeah, if you put a line through her run in the Mares Novices Hurdle at the Cheltenham Festival, then before that, she was such an exciting horse. Obviously, she and Brighter Days Ahead went to the Cheltenham Festival. It was kind of billed as a match between them. Golden Ace came and spoiled the party. But it was a strangely run race, wasn't it? They really went no pace. Saying earlier on, the finishing section was 114% of overall time finishing speed. So they didn't go great pace, and that Golden Ace has got that flat race pedigree, so you can understand how she outpaced them. Golden Ace could be a very good mare, and maybe in the light of that, she might not get the credit that she deserved, because she still had to be tough and she had to show that pace, but she didn't. She was going away again at the end. But just the way the race was run, it didn't suit Jade de Grugy. It didn't suit Brighter Days Ahead either. But Jade de Grugy, she kind of got into a wee bit of trouble as well after the second last before the turn for home, and that didn't help in a slowly run race. She got shuffled back. She was further back than ideal on the run into the home straight. She had to deliver a run on the far side away from most like Golden Ace, and Brighter Days Ahead came up the near side. So I think you can allow her that run for all of that. And before that, she won her maiden hurdle over 2.5 miles. Then she won her grade 3 at Fairyhouse over 2.25 miles. Back at Fairyhouse now up 2.5 miles. We know that she goes well on the ground. She's an exciting horse for next season, all going well. But yeah, she's favourite now, but I think she's the right favourite. And look, on Jatara, yeah, I just thought her run kind of flattened out a wee bit, and then Tony Lacey race the last day. As you say, though, Emma, she was against the boys, back against the mares now, and she's skipped Cheltenham. She comes in here a fresh horse, fun in there as well. It was a really good bumper horse last season and beat Land's Way last time at Nace in the grade 3 race. That was a good run. So she comes in on and up. But yeah, I think Jade de Grugy is probably the one to beat. I think you're siding against her, are you?
I would have kind of question marks about a mare coming back so quickly from Cheltenham. Now, she must be in flying form, just the fact that Willie declared her in the first place. But I think it could be a tough enough ask, 17 days. But like you said, the way the race was run in Cheltenham, they ran it so slowly. Maybe she didn't have the hardest race that day, despite being beaten. So, I mean, I wouldn't be firmly against her, but I don't think I'll probably be backing her. I might take a small chance on Bioluminescence each way for Gavin Cromwell. I think she's just a real classy mare now. Kind of comes with a bit of a warning. I suppose she's kind of more on for next year. Just looking at her, she looks like a big, massive chaser. And it was 2 mile 6 she won over last time. Back to 2 mile 4 today. Look, I don't. Maybe she probably wouldn't be the pacey type like maybe a Jade de Grugy. Yeah, it might be a race I'd actually might skip from a betting perspective. Look, I might take it if Bioluminescence was a good price, like 12, 14, and 16 to 1 on the day. I might take a chance at her each way. She's a mare kind of for the future more so, but it's such a competitive affair, and it's great to see it's kind of such a big field for a grade 1 contest. It's not really something like you wouldn't see it too often, and I suppose I like to see the English runner there, Springtime Promise, coming over for Fergal O'Brien as well. But yeah, a real I suppose an interesting one to watch for me. Probably not a betting prospect, but yeah, Jade de Grugy, I suppose if you put a line through that Cheltenham run, she would be a much shorter price. So trusting that Willie has her back here, which I'm sure he does, in top form, she could be very hard to beat again. But we'll go on to the next race then, the 310, the Paddy Keogh Suspended Ceilings Novice Hurdle, grade 2 event, and again, won last year by leading national hope, actually, Nick Rocket, and Willie has another strong hand. But the Edinburgh O'Grady train, no flies on him, is the early market leader there, around 7-4. I suppose he made a big impression there, winning his maiden hurdle in Leopardstown earlier on the year. Skipped Cheltenham with him, so comes here a fresh horse. Don, were you impressed by him in Leopardstown? I suppose he was maybe slightly disappointing then last time behind Tully Hill.
Yeah, you had to be impressed with him at Leopardstown over Christmas. And then he skipped the Dublin Racing Festival, went to that listed race at Punchestown, bumped into Tully Hill, and Tully Hill was very good on the day. Tully Hill obviously didn't enhance that form at Cheltenham next time, but it probably wasn't his running for whatever reason. So I wouldn't necessarily use that as a stick with which to beat no flies on him. But he's been put in fairly short. I like DiCapo. I like him as a horse. I thought he ran a remarkable race in the Feroxian Hurdle to get as close as he did to Stable Companion What's Up Darling. He was ran a strange race. He was jumping out to the right, and then he led. Then he kind of made a bad mistake. He dropped back to last down the back straight, and then stayed on again, went down by a neck. And then last time he was given a nice break by Gordon Elliott after that, and brought back at Leopardstown last time. And I thought he was very good in winning that day. Like he beat Ashdale Bob, who was dropping down in trip, but that kind of trip 2.25, 2.5 miles is probably more Ashdale Bob's trip than 3 miles. And DiCapo, he always travelled like the most likely winner. He picked up well when Danny Gilligan asked him to. He went to the line strongly. I thought it was a comprehensive performance, and I just thought he had a bit more in hand in the winning margin. He's probably going to have to improve again, but he's only had 3 runs over hurdles, so I think he can improve again. And yeah, I think he should probably be a bit shorter in the market than he is.
I actually agree with you fully there. I was actually in Leopardstown the day DiCapo won. I actually thought he might have a tough enough ask to beat Ashdale Bob off level weights that day. Like Ashdale Bob, kind of a grade one place performance, I suppose, at his pomp. But yeah, a really kind of polished performance that day, and looks like a kind of an up and coming 5-year-old there for Gordon Elliott and Jack Kennedy. So yeah, I was side with you there. I really like DiCapo in here, but no fights on him. I suppose no joke if he can bounce back to his best form to the form he was in Leopardstown that day. He looks like a smart prospect as well for Edward O'Grady. But we'll go on to the 3:45 there. Another grade 2 novice hurdle. This one over 2 miles. Mirror's West, I suppose, has been overall disappointing for Willie Mullins so far this season. Last seen beaten in an ace grade 3 the week before at Cheltenham. Mark Walsh takes the ride on him. Brian Hayes gets the ride on Western Diego. And I thought an interesting one around the same colours in the Clipper Logistics colours for Pat Fatty. Sporting Glory actually won his bumper only back in February as an 8-year-old, and goes in first time over hurdles straight into a grade 2 contest. So kind of shows what they think of him. I suppose he was second to Romeo Coolio in a Fairyhouse bumper as well back in January, and that form was obviously franked massively in Cheltenham. But just maybe wanted to keep an eye at a massive price there, 3 to 1. He must be scooting fairly well at home, I suppose, if they show him in here, Don.
Yeah, no, he's interesting, all right. Like I was kind of using him, but the fact that he won his bumper next time and beat Sky Lore, like he battled on well to beat him. I was kind of using that as an enhancement for Romeo Coolio's form going into Cheltenham, and again, Romeo Coolio, as you say, enhanced that form. He ran a big race at Cheltenham, so yeah, wouldn't discount him at all. Michael O'Sullivan taking the ride for Pat Fahey in those Clipper Logistic colours. Thought Western Diego was good at Fairyhouse. I thought he kept on well the last day, and I was interested to see who Paul Tynan was going to ride. So the fact that he's chosen to ride Tunsilvator, that's obviously significant. He's only had the 1 run over hurdles, having been campaigned on the flat in France. He won well that day. He kept on and won nicely enough. Again, probably won with more in hand in the winning margin. So look, it's hard to know what to do with that, or how he's going to be, or how he's going to progress from that. He's probably going to have to improve if he's going to win a grade 2 race. But the fact that Paul Tynan has chosen to ride him, that's obviously significant. And yeah, Mirror's West, like he's Fernie Holly's brother. Obviously, he came before he met the racetrack at all. He was high profile, so he probably hasn't run up to his pedigree yet. And yeah, he was well beaten by Fun the last day. It probably wasn't his running. And he did win his maiden hurdle at Fairyhouse on heavy ground, similar conditions to the conditions he's going to encounter. So I wouldn't give up on him yet, but he's been put in pretty short, I think, for all of that.
Yeah, he'll definitely have to bounce back. And like you said, there's a few in here that will put it right up to him, I'd say. And he's looked a little bit quirky this year. I thought last year as a bumper horse looked a bit more straightforward, but definitely has those quirks about him. I think Fernie Hollow was the same, so it's probably no big surprise there. But yeah, Toon's very interesting. Paul Town takes the ride on him, but I might take a small chance in Sporting Glory each way. Just that Romeo Coolio form, and the fact he's shown in here in grade 2 first time out, he must be going fairly well schooling wise. But we'll go on to the 4:55 there, the Willow Warren Gold Cup. Another grade 1 contest on the day, and it's Blood Destiny versus Splan's Tower, round 3, I suppose. I'd imagine the conditions of this one is going to suit Splan's Tower better, though. I think last time they met, it was over 2 miles, and Splan's Tower was getting £7 for Blood Destiny. They're off levels here over the 2 mile 4. I think that's going to play into the hands of Jimmy Mangan's 6-year-old. I think Jimmy had his first grade 1 success in this race 16 years ago, Connor Castle, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Splan's Tower do it again, Don.
Yeah, we're singing up the same hymn sheet, Emma. Yeah, I like Spillane Tower. I think all exactly as you said there. I think that like when they made over nearly 2.5 miles of punches down the last day, back in sorry on the penultimate run, so round one of their private duel,
Mm.
Blood Destiny looked like he had him. He looked the likely winner. He traded at 1.0 something in running, like very short. And Spillane Tower for me outstayed him. He just Mark Walsh got a tune out of him. He stayed on the far side, and he was giving him a couple of hands that day as well, I think. So, and then to go on to Navan, as well as the drop down and trip, they went no pace through the early part of the race. The sectionals tell us that it was a slow pace. It didn't suit Spillane Tower. Blood Destiny got a lovely run into the race and was produced to use his turn of foot by Paul Townend and move on from flanking maneuver around about the second last. And Spillane Tower just couldn't get to him, and he made a mistake at the last as well, which wasn't ideal. But I think back up and trip into a stronger race in which there'll probably be, I mean, it's a small enough field, but there'll probably be a faster pace. And yeah, I think that's all in Spillane Tower's favour. He goes well on heavy ground as well. He goes well right-handed too. And yeah, when they opened betting for this, they put Blood Destiny in as favourite. I was surprised at that. I thought they'd have Spillane Tower in as favourite, and I think they might switch actually before the off. So yeah, I'm a Spillane Tower fan in this at the trip and on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all. I'm very surprised about Blood Destiny was favourite in here. Like just the conditions of the race compared to the last time, you'd imagine it's going to be way more in the favour of Jimmy Mangan's gelding. But I suppose just mention a couple of those in their tactical move. I think he's out of a sister of probably the best, or out of a sister of Denman, probably the best named dam in the country, Den Woman. I thought that was a great name for her. But he was good last twice as well. I think he's had plenty of problems with Willie Mullins, but he's kind of getting back on track now. But I can't really see him put up Spillane Tower. I think he's a real progressive horse. And they skipped Cheltenham this year. I'd say taking the patient approach with him, and I'd probably pay off in the future. He looks like a real class one. It's nice to see Jimmy Mangan back with another top class horse. We were on to Monday's action then. I think we'll start. Sorry, I'm into Cork. We're going to Fairyhouse on Monday. We'll start with the National, I think, which is obviously the feature race of the weekend. I suppose, look, maybe a little bit surprising the race hasn't filled, but look at the positive sides of it. A real kind of spread of trainers being represented. I think is there 15 or 16 different trainers with horses in there at the moment. Ground looking like it's going to be a real war of attrition out there. Saw some quotes from a few different trainers. A couple of in here might be doubtful starters like Desert Morehouse. I think Martin Braz was hoping the ground would dry up a lot for him before he declares him tomorrow. But Nick Rockett's in here, early market leader for Willie Mullins. I suppose he was eye catcher last time in Navan. They skipped the National Hunt Chase at Cheltenham. I suppose this was the main target for in here. But Don, I'll leave you talk through this one a small bit. Do you have any kind of major fancy in here?
Yeah, look, it's look, the Irish National. It's a great race, and yeah, Tom Gibney has intense raffles in there. Tom Gibney, of course, won it with Liam Barney back in 2012. I think he was a shock winner that day. Wasn't a massive shock to Tom actually, but it was a shock to everybody else. But intense raffles, he's a really interesting horse, isn't he? Like he's his first horse for Simon Miller and Isaac Swain. It's great to see him with a horse for those big owners. And he was good on his debut, his Irish debut, and he won at Fairyhouse. Then he in fact stepped up in trip, and again was good again in winning, beating. It was only a 3-horse race in the end, but there were good horses that he beat, and it was more the manner of it. I thought the way that he jumped, the way that he extended, and the ease with which he did it. The handicap gave him a mark of 140 for that. He was 127 going into that race. So I think it's very difficult to put a rating on him, isn't it? 140. He could be a lot better than that, or he might not be up to it, but it's difficult to know.
I think they were saying they thought he was quite well in the first day based on his kind of earlier French form. But yeah, it's hard to know. I suppose it was kind of a shot in the dark, and the race kind of fell apart.
But the fact that he jumped the Fairyhouse fences so well on soft ground, to me, that's a massive plus. He's only 6. Now 6-year-olds don't have a great record in the race, but not many try. Not many 6-year-olds are running the race. I think Cara de Manil was 6 when he finished 3rd. Burrows stayed one as a 6-year-old as well. But I'm just concerned about his weight. So you spoke about non-runners there, Emma. The weights they were gonna go up 6 pounds if Farouk Delaine stayed in. So he's on 11.6. But I think Gordon said yesterday that he's gonna run Farouk Delaine at Liverpool instead. So they're gonna go up 11 pounds, and that's if Fenella Cooner stays in. So 11, like they're all these horses, they're all going to go up. Like a Tense Raffles now is going to have 11.4. Yeah, man is going to have the same 11.4. Archer Dark is going to go up to, I think, 11-1. Like these horses, that they're all going to have more weight than we thought they would have. And it's like history tells you, it's hard to win an Irish National with a big weight.
Especially on this ground, I suppose, it kind of adding to that again.
Yeah. Like since Fashion Steel won it in 95 with 12 stone, only 4 horses have won it with 11 stone or more. And that, look, it's, maybe it'll be different this year because all the kind of fancied horses are up around that level. But, there might be 1 or 2 lurkers down below. And, weight, you have to accept, because history tells us that weight is a factor in the Irish Grand National. You do have to start at the bottom of the handicap and start working your way up. And it's only the kind of, our Duke, a Gold Cup horse, Comanche Court, Bobby Joe, a Grand National winner, I Am Maximus. It's only those type of horses who have carried 11 stone or more to victory in the Irish National. So it's a factor that you have to take into account. And I'm not certain that the market has fully taken it into account yet. Man was very good at Haydock the last day. He stepped up and tripped to 3.5 miles, and it looked like he would improve for a greater stamina test, which is runs at Ascot over exactly 3 miles on good ground. And he really saw it the trip well. He beat My Silver Lining. I think she'd won the Classic Chase at Warwick. So that was a big staying performance from Man. He's off at £7, an Irish mark that's £7 higher than the British mark off which he won that day. So he's still feasibly handicapped, just a 7-year-old as well. And I think Gavin Cromwell's other horse, Archer Dark, he's interesting. I thought he improved for the step up and trip the last day when he won the Leinster National. He stayed on well as well. Now he's got another 5 furlongs to go now, but he did stay on well the last day, and he's shaped as if he might well get further. So, and he's an improving horse as well. He's only 7-2. He's £9 higher than he was that day. But again, he's going to have 11 stone 1. I think if the weights do go up 11 pounds, and then further than the weights, I think we'll have one that'd be a wee bit under the radar. He's only run 4 times over fences. He won a really competitive handicap hurdle over 3 miles and 1 furlong at Navan back before Christmas. And then the last day, he was sent off a 5-4 shot for the Grand National Trial of Punchestown and looked the likely winner. He was beaten in the end by Where It All Began, but he travelled well, and he and Dunboyne and Where It All Began went clear on the run to the second last. He just kind of faded from there. But his hurdles mark is, I think it's £13 higher than his chase mark, and he's only had those 4 runs over fences. Now he is 9, but he's still likely raced over fences, and he's going to have a nice racing weight if they do go up 11 pounds. He's going to have 10 stone 1, which is just into the handicap. So I can see him maybe attracting some money closer to the up. What are your main thoughts?
Yeah, I was interested in we'd have one as well. I suppose if take out the disappointment last time, but like you said, just looking at the weights, like looking through the last couple, or even the top 3 or 4 in the last couple of renewals, like you're looking for something kind of below the threshold. I was kind of getting sucked into one of the top of the weights when I was looking at it first, and then a Kakuna. I thought it kind of had an educational one, I think, in the Leinster National last time. He was 6th that day. He was a Grade 1 winner over hurdles, and kind of good in that staying hurdling division. So I'd imagine the trip will be right up his alley. Now, the weight is the concern, like you were saying. Fruit Lane, I saw that quote as well. He is going to Aintree, according to Gordon yesterday. So Mel Kakuna will have top weight if he shows up here. But I thought he got an educational ride last time at the Leinster National by Paul Town. Like he had been kind of jumping out, walking out in front in all his chase starts so far. But Paul kind of dropped him in the last day and probably maybe just teaching him a little bit about racing and handicap company. At 25-1, I wouldn't be surprised to see him running a big race. But he will have a lot of weight to contend with. He actually beat Senior Chief then in Navan actually the last day. I think Henry de Bromhead was quite sweet on his chances, but I kept coming back to Intense Raffles, to be honest, for Thomas Gibney. Look, I know he's probably well found in the market now around 6-1, but like you said, he's just kind of a horse with a profile. He kind of could be anything, and like you were saying, the handicapper kind of had to take a bit of a shot in the dark, putting him up, was it 13-14 pounds for that Fairyhouse win last time. I think Darrell Jacob obviously injured. I think JJ Slevin has gotten the ride on Intense Raffles for Thomas Gibney, but look, I think he'll relish the ground. He should stay. I don't see too many negatives about him, apart from, like you said, he is going to go up in the weights a bit, but he probably would be my pick. I do like Yaman as well, though, for Gavin Cromwell. Obviously, last time in Haydock, he showed that he loves the mud. should be a strong share. He's really lightly raced as well, kind of an unexposed type, and could be, maybe Gavin could be tagging him. And when Gavin targets one at a race, he doesn't really get it too wrong, does he?
Yeah, he hasn't won the Irish National yet, but you think it's only a matter of time really before he does. You mentioned Jarvis Girl earlier on. I think that was his first Grade 1 winner, wasn't it? And she won the marathon on this card at this meeting. Yeah, I know. Like, and he's had a super season, hasn't he? Like he's had those two winners at Cheltenham, at the festival. He had other winners earlier in the season at Cheltenham as well. I know he's a very, very, very good trainer.
Yeah, so he's two and he have a good chance. I think man would be my pick if he's two. Could be a progressive 7-year-old, but yeah, look, there's plenty in there you could name. I'd probably stick with Intense Raffles, maybe a small kind of speculative bet on Manila Cooler just in case he did win. Although Logan top weight in that ground is going to be a really, really hard ask, but yeah, Willie Mullins. I think Willie Mullins has a great record on this with novices as well. Maybe it's something to note. I think maybe have all of Willie's winners have been novices. I am Maximus, Borrowed Saint, I think, or Duke, obviously not trained by Willie, but another novice who won it. So novices do well in here, which might be something else to keep note of. When looking through this one, but we'll move on to the. I'm sorry, we have to go back in time now because we started with the nationals. So go back to the 240. To a really interesting juvenile hurdle, a Grade 2 contest. Speaking of Gavin Cromwell, look, we've got no declarations for this yet, but maybe a small bit of guesswork. But I'd imagine Bottler Secret will go here. He was really impressive winning his maiden, or sorry, it was actually a Grade 3 contest he won in Naas, first start for Gavin, just before Cheltenham. I think he was kind of tempted to go to the Triumph. He decided not to. Kept him for this one. I thought he was really eye-catching that day. And a really interesting entry in here as well, I thought, was Jim Bulger's Eastern Legend. Entered first time over hurdles in a Grade 2 contest. I think he's rated around 95 on the flat. He was actually third to Bottler's Secret in a flat handicap last September, I think it was. Giving him a little bit of weight that day, I think. But will be an interesting one if he is declared here. But I think it might be Bottler's Secret's race to lose here. Donna, were you a fan of him in Naas that day?
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, very much so. And yeah, like the talk of the Triumph Hurdle, it was real talk for a little while, but like Gavin Cromwell, he just decided, look, take the long-term view. It was just too quick a turnaround. That was his first run for over 130 days at Naas the last day. It was his first run over hurdles, and you can fully understand why they just thought maybe it's just too much to throw him into a Triumph Hurdle couple of weeks after winning on his debut over hurdles. And look, he was a good horse in the flat as well. He won that 10.5 furlong handicap at Naas on his last run for Kieran Murphy. He got a rating of 87 on the flat, so that's a good high rating to take over hurdles. He was very good at winning that Grade 3 race. The fact that they put him into a Grade 3 race on his debut over hurdles, that was significant. And yeah, would have been interested to see him in the Triumph Hurdle, but he skipped that. Coming on here, it's a Grade 2 race, so he's still stepping up in grade, which is what you want to be doing, having won a Grade 3, going to a Grade 2. And yeah, it's a good race for him. Like, it's a good spacing. It's about 5 weeks since he won the last day, so it's a nice time frame as well. It's a nice race for him. And yeah, we don't have declarations, we don't have betting, but yeah, I'd say he'll probably be favoured, all right. I think he's going to take the beating.
Yeah, I just could mention to the English fair here, so give me 5 for Harry Durham. I think he's intended to come over, and he's owned by Smash Racing, which a syndicate with, I think, Brooks Kwepa and Graham McDowell are both in there, so they'll be a nice addition to the Fairyhouse crowd on Monday. If he comes up, I'm not sure will they be in attendance, but nice to see Harry Durham sending one over. But I think Bottler Secret very hard to beat, and they will just give a quick mention to 2 more races in the card. Obviously, no declarations, so kind of hard to go into it in too much depth, but. The 350, it's a Grade 2 hurdle. A couple of old boys in here, Stereo and Phalange. Again, another English raider. Ollie Murphy's stable stalwart, I suppose, brewing up a storm. I think intending to come over here as well. Sir Gerhard is in here, but he's been declared in Cork on Sunday, so he won't be showing up in this one. I'd imagine if Sark the Brave comes here, Don, he could be pretty hard to beat.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, Emma. I thought he'd run a wee bit better in the champion hurdle than he did. I know it was the champion hurdle, but I just thought he would have stayed on a bit better and maybe finished third in front of the Chia behind Stepman and Irish Point. But look, he's a high class horse. He's a Galway hurdle winner. I think he was the first Galway hurdle 4-year-old Galway hurdle winner since Virgin Diamond, was it, in 2000? I think it was. So look, he's a classy horse. He beat Tony Something Girl as well in January, and she held up that form at Cheltenham as well. So look, he's a likable horse, and he's only 5. So again, there's still plenty of potential upside to him. Ashdale Bob is in here as well. He hasn't won in so long, but he does run well in the feet. And I think this 2.5 mile trip, it's kind of 2 mile 4, 2 mile 5. I don't think he fully sees out. For all that, he was only just beaten by Classical Dream in the Stairs Hurdle at Punchestown a couple of years ago. But I think this kind of intermediate trip more than a Stairs trip suits him well. And yeah, it's interesting to see how Capo goes earlier on with a view to maybe Ashdale Bob coming on here. But he goes well at the track as well. So yeah, of the older horses, he'd be the one I'd be most interested in. But yeah, I think Zarek the Brave is probably going to be the one to beat if he lines up here.
Yeah, poor Ashdale Bob always seems to find something to beat him. I think it's 2 or 3 years since he's last win. But just to mention, Essier Flange also declared in Cork. I think he's declared a 200 Grade 2 race on the Sunday, so he won't be in this one either. But yeah, Zarek the Brave kind of gets the vote in that one. In the last race we might have just a tiny mention of is the 420. It's a Grade 2 chase. Couple of good Rob Core horses here. Journey with Me and Phil Dore. Journey with Me, we'll have to turn around form with Ashtree Meadow, but I suppose to give a mention to Easy Game. I think he won 3 or 4 PWC champion chases at Goran. And he's going for the 4 in a row here as well. They probably have to build a statue for him, either Goran or Fairyhouse, if you can get this one done. But it looks probably like a stiff enough task for him this year, Don.
Yeah, I think so, Emma. He's probably going to face Friendly Fire from St. Sana. St. Sana lines up here, and he's the one I think they have to beat. Like he was obviously really good juvenile hurdler, and it's taken him a little while, but he won well at Galway, and then he won well at Goran Park, the Red Mills chase last time. I thought he jumped well. It was really soft ground, and Riviere d'Etal was going right-handed as well for her, which is the way she wants to go. And I just thought he won with plenty in hand. And he's a horse who's always threatened to be, like, he is good, but he had that fall at the stall, didn't he, at the festival so he didn't run again after that until he pitched up at Goran Park there in Shrubbery in the Red Mills chase. So I think there's more to come from him. He's only had 9 runs over fences, so he's just a classy, likable horse. And even when he ran in the Grade 1 2 mile novice chase at the Punchestown Festival in 2022, he only finished 6th. He's finished last of 6 that day behind the stable companion Blue Lord, but he made a pretty bad mistake, and I think it was the second last fence, but for which he might have been involved in it. So I think he's the type of horse. He's probably he's just below the top Grade 1 horses, but he's got a mark in the 160s, and that's a mark of a high class horse. And yeah, I think if he runs here, he's the one to have to beat.
Yeah, should be very, very hard to beat here. He can be quite keen, but like you're saying, on ratings, he's ahead of these easy game rated 161 as well, but he's not getting any younger, I suppose, a 10-year-old now. So yeah, St. Sam, I think if he's declared here for Willie Mullins, should take all the beating. But we'll wrap it up there, Don. Thanks very much. Sorry, I kept you quite a while there, but before we finish up, I'll ask you for your next best, maybe an each way shot as well for the weekend.
I think Spillan's Tower is going to take an awful lot of beating in the Willow Warm Gold Cup. Sound like he's not going to be a massive price, but I still think he should be favourite in front of Blood Destiny. I thought DiCapo was interesting in the Paddy Gale Suspended Ceilings Novices Hurdle, the 2.5 mile Grade 2 Novices Hurdle on Sunday. And each way bet I'll go with We'll Have One in the Irish Grand National for all the reasons we were talking about earlier on.
Very good, very good. I'm with you with the NAF. I think Spillans Tower as well should be favourite in there. 7-4. I think he's a pretty good bet. My next best is actually going to be one we didn't mention, Jumping Jet. She's in the 320 Mare's Handicap chase at Fairyhouse. I just think a few of her rivals have question marks about her, and she's looked tough and progressive so far, and likes these really testing conditions. And my each way shout, I'll go on the Irish National as well, and I'll go Minetta Cocooner. Despite having to lug all that weight, I think he's a really classy horse, and he could hold a big one for Winnie Mullins. So we'll wrap it up there, Don. Thanks very much for all your contributions. Hope you have a great weekend at the racing in Fairyhouse. And thanks everyone for tuning in. If you're going to have a bet this weekend, make sure to gamble responsibly. We'll be back on Tuesday, I think, to review all of the weekend action with Vincent and Johnny Ward.